Obviously there are parts of the Buddhist teachings which are about, like you say, don't do this, don't do that. You have to see what it is. It's encouraging the strength of mind and the awareness to know our intention, the intention that lies behind all our actions. And any action that will lead to suffering for ourselves or others, it's not what we want, because we want to be happy. So the intention that would lead us to harm others or harm ourselves, that's what you're stopping or abandoning. So you have to learn to be strong enough, clear enough in your mind to be able to restrain your mind from following intentions which will bring negative outcomes, bring us suffering. That's the quality you're developing. So you have to also see if there's any kind of instruction or teaching that says don't do this. You can at the same time explain the reason you don't do this is because it will actually bring you happiness, which is what you want. So it has its positive side, even though we may be saying we don't do this. You have to explain that positive side at the same time, that it's clear, it's not just that, oh, don't do this, don't do that. The Buddhist path, we're training our minds to give up harmful intentions that lead to harmful results. So we have to always be aware that our ultimate aim is to achieve peace and happiness for ourselves, for others. We're not just saying, looking at things in a negative way with no purpose to it. There's a reason for why we do things. We're always looking at the reason. He said maybe sometimes it's possible if animals in the wild, we're living in the same place with wild animals, those animals may naturally be wild animals, they might be dangerous, they might have their own intentions, but because we are practicing harmlessness, we're not killing, we're not attacking them, even though they're wild animals, they can experience some peace, some safety in our presence or in the place we live. As an example, when you practice certain things, you refrain from aggression or you refrain from antisocial behaviour, then what do you get? Well, you get a good atmosphere, you get a good environment, peaceful atmosphere. Your own mind is peaceful and happy, and the atmosphere around you, the place you live, is going to be peaceful. So this practice of restraining oneself, don't do this, don't do that, you look at the result, it might actually bring a very nice result, a result that we want. You have to understand that the human mind is something that needs training and practice. If we leave our minds unattended, we don't look after them, then they're like water. Water always flows down to the lowest level. And if you have water on a hill, it'll always flow downhill, looking for the lowest level down to the sea. But if you learn how to make a dam or any kind of barrier, then that water can be stopped, dammed, preserved in one place, and then you can use it for different things. Our mind is the same. If we leave it unattended, our minds tend to start thinking in more negative, unskillful ways, which affect our speech, our actions, and create suffering for ourselves, for others. So it's worth investing time in learning how to have enough self-control, restraint, to stop the more coarse or lower kinds of intentions that human beings can have, to stop them from causing ourselves suffering. So we learn how to restrain our more aggressive tendencies, because that will obviously cause physical harm to ourselves, to others. We learn to restrain our tendency to take things which don't belong to us. All forms of stealing or taking other people's property when they haven't given us permission, because it only causes suspicion and fear and disrespect between people when we do that. So we have to restrain that. And we have to restrain our actions with respect respecting other people, their relationships, not to act in ways that disrespect relationships. So if you have a partner, to respect your partner, other people are in a relationship, to respect their relationship. If we learn to restrain our more negative emotions, negative tendencies, then it develops a great sense of inner peace and happiness, and it develops a harmonious, peaceful society. The important thing is to know our own emotions and know our mind, to know what is skillful and what is unskillful. If you just let your mind follow every feeling, every emotion, well, the unskillful ones will bring us a lot of suffering. So we have to learn how to assess and know our own mind, and then start to let go of the unskillful emotions, or to not act on them. We have to know how to restrain ourselves when unskillful emotions and negative emotions arise. If we know this, we understand this, then we can live in the world very happily, very skillfully. Living in society, to be successful and happy, we have to develop the quality of patience and endurance. The society is full of different people with different characters. When we say society, we mean particularly the society of a family situation, when you live maybe with husband and wife, parents, children, maybe many people in your family or immediate family. But it's like when you build a house, and you have a house like this, you have many different materials that were used in building a house, and they all have to be connected together, held together with nails or rivets or glue. Society needs to be held together by different qualities in the hearts and minds of people, so that society doesn't break apart or be a difficult place to live. So one of the important qualities is practice of patience, endurance. Because we have different experiences, we have to know how to deal with them. So we have, on the outside, we have things that we have to physically be patient with. So like when you're in the weather, you have hot and cold. Somebody who's unfamiliar with hot weather, as soon as they face hot weather or encounter it, they feel it's troublesome and difficult. Or somebody's not used to cold weather, when they encounter cold weather, they'll feel it's very stressful and difficult. But as we practice patience, we become more familiar with the conditions, and we can also contemplate them. So you see, when it's hot, your body sweats. There's the physical reaction of the body towards heat, but it's just one kind of feeling, one kind of process going on. And if you're mindful and contemplate it, it's nothing too difficult to understand or be aware of. But you need patience to do that, not just to react, say, to the heat or the cold. Similarly with people, you live with people and all their different characters. Some people are more greedy and selfish, some people are more angry, some people are more fearful, some people are more deluded. Everyone has a different character which displays itself in different ways, different views and opinions and so on. But we use this quality of patience so that we can be patient with each other. We accept the way people are. Don't expect to always do things or get things exactly how we want, because the world is an uncertain place. What we can control is our own mind. We can't control other people or the world around us, but we can control our own mind within different situations. So you have to learn to have self-control that comes with the practice of patience. So we can have self-control when different moods arise. And we might have some reactions. We enjoy pleasant things, we dislike unpleasant things. You might have a reaction come up, but if you're practicing patience, then it's very temporary, it just fades away. With someone with no patience, maybe they react to something and they just hold on to that reaction all the time, so they have a lot of suffering. So this is how we practice. We learn to develop patience, endurance towards the external world and towards our own moods, and emotions, and this way we can live in the world in a peaceful way. So with the practice of patience, we also develop a quality that monks call Dhamma, which means like firmness, strength of mind. And we also have to develop the quality of Chaka, which means learning how to give up things. Give up that which is the enemy to the truth of the mind, or the true nature of the mind. So we have to have enough skill to know our mind to be able to let go, give up those qualities which take it away from the truth. Because everything has its opposite, just as there's that which is true, or there's that which is false. There's the light of the daylight, the sunlight in the day, then there's also the darkness of night. We have these opposites. We have to understand things as they are by developing our own ability to consider and observe and understand this mind and all that it's involved with. We have to see that the mind is a bit like water. And water is inherently clear, transparent, pure. But of course you can always mix things with water. So you can mix in dye or colour. And you take red dye, put it into water, or the water becomes red liquid, and so on. And the water will take on the qualities of whatever colour or product you put into it. So our mind is a bit like this. It will take on the qualities of that which it's involved with. And if we're not aware of that process, well, it's where we can have a lot of suffering. So you have to be mindful of everything that the mind, every object that the mind is in contact with or experiences. The word for this is Dhamma Aramana, objects of the mind, mental objects or mental dhammas. The most simple way of describing this is that we have many experiences with the mind that we find pleasant and pleasing, and gives rise to liking and desire. And we have other experiences which are unpleasant, displeasing to us, gives rise to dislike or aversion. These moods and emotions are arising all the time, depending on our different experiences. And they're like visitors to our mind, or visitors to our home. If you own a home, it's your job to stay in charge and be responsible for your home, and you have to know every visitor who comes to your home. If it's some stranger, you're not sure who they are, what their business is, well, you have to take some time to investigate and get to know who is this person, what's their business, are they a good person or a dangerous person. That's something we have to do with a home, and similarly with our minds. We have to get to know every mental object that arises into our experience, all the emotions that arise up in reaction to different sense contact. Are they helpful, useful, or are they harmful? We have to watch and learn. Some of these emotions are what you might call false friends, and they don't really bring us anything helpful or useful. They don't help us understand truth. They just bring us more stress and suffering. So we have to maintain this quality of being the Puru, which means the one who knows. This quality of mindfully knowing, mindfully being aware of all that the mind contacts. And we have to take responsibility to oversee and look after our own minds and all that they're involved with. If we see that there's something that's dangerous or harmful or stressful, then once we've established that understanding, then we can just let that mood or that experience just fade from the mind by itself. Because it's impermanent, we can just watch and allow it to display its impermanence and just disappear. We don't have to hold on to that way of thinking or that mood. In this way, as we develop this quality of the one who knows, then this will lead to peace of mind, because our mind is constantly guarded over, watched over, and we'll have a sense of being, have self-control. So in the end, the practice depends mostly on the quality of sati, mindfulness. But the practice of mindfulness is something we have to keep up regularly. If it's weak, we're not developing it much, then of course we'll start to feel stressed. And sati also depends on various supporting conditions, supporting factors. There's the practice of sila, the basic practice of the precepts, learning to be careful in our speech and our actions. It's also dependent on the practice of samadhi, developing firm, calm states of mind. The mind that is in a state of, we say, being unshakable. Practice of samadhi has many depths and levels. There's upajara samadhi, appana samadhi. Upajara samadhi is a more temporary state of calm that the mind can enter, stay for a while, but then withdraw in order to contemplate and develop wisdom. It can be a very powerful energy, but because it's temporary, it allows us to experience things and then use the firmness of the mind of samadhi to contemplate, to develop wisdom. But samadhi also needs to be supported by the practice of right view. We have to develop wisdom and understanding of what is the truth, and how to contemplate the truth. So when we say somebody is well practiced, it means that they have not only mindfulness, but all these other factors that support mindfulness. They have the sila, they have the samadhi and the wisdom and right view as well. The result of this, of practicing in this way, is that we develop more self-control and we develop the quality of apamada, heedfulness. We're not careless. When we are careless, then obviously we can do a lot of things that bring us suffering, and it can be dangerous to ourselves, to others. But when we develop mindfulness and wisdom, it makes us heedful. The way to develop these qualities is through daily practice. Set aside time every day to practice meditation. So say when you finish your work and other duties for the day, do some meditation. When you meditate, you're learning to let go of your attachment to the past and let go of your attachment to the future, so you're not constantly worrying and being anxious about the future. Learn to let go of your attachment to external things, to bring your mind inside and experience the peace of samadhi. Learn to keep the mind in a state where it's not blemished, where it's not caught up in negative emotions, and where it's free from suffering. Don't let your vinaya become blemished, meaning your practice of sila, the precepts, speech and actions, don't let them become blemished, caught into negative ways. Because the result is that your mind also will become blemished, meaning you have more inner conflict, inner unhappiness. If the vinaya is blemished, then the Dhamma becomes blemished as well. When they're practiced together, these two qualities, or these two aspects of the practice, support each other. So keeping up regular practice every day, every night, developing meditation, learning to maintain mindfulness on Buddho, the awakened mind, the one who knows. This is what will bring a sense of being one living free from worries, free from anxiety. It's the practice that brings us this quality, and the more we practice, the easier it becomes. We gain our own enthusiasm for the practice. As it becomes easier, it becomes more enjoyable. We have more happiness as a result.